Damn, it feels like it's been forever, right? Forever. When was the last time we did a live stream here? It was during the World Cup. I haven't gotten a haircut since, shaved, and we're back. We're back with two bangers today. Two bangers, right? I released a USMNT prospects video. You guys can go check that out. And then we have the news that Pochettino will stay as the U.S. men's national team head coach. And I know a lot of you are going to point to the fact that it's going to say, it's not signed yet. It's not a done deal. Fellas, it's done. They haven't signed it, but it's a done deal unless something completely insane happens. Pochettino will stay in charge of the U.S. men's national team till 2030. He was part of the hiring process of Cherundolo. JT Batson said it himself, the CEO of U.S. Soccer. Cherundolo is going to be the Olympic coach for the United States, right? And I would assume that these two guys would work together because a lot of the players that are going to be in the 2028 Olympics for the U.S. men's national team, which is a U23 tournament, they very likely will be much better 2 years after, and they'll be in the World Cup. But regardless, Pochettino's staying. We're going to talk about the Pochettino news. I'm going to talk about a lot of the people that are against it. I'm going to bring up two takes from one account that I like, and he's against Pochettino. I like that account, but I'm going to bring it up. And then there's also an account that I actually don't know who this other guy is, but he just had a really, really stupid take. He had a dumb take, and I'm going to have to put it on screen. I'm sorry, that's what the internet's for. You put it out there, it's out there. Okay? So essentially just don't be an idiot, right? Don't be stupid. Don't be an idiot on the internet because it'll come back to bite you. Or Tactical Manager will be reading your tweet. Regardless, everyone, welcome back to myself. Welcome back to y'all. Drop a like in the video. Before we start, I want to talk about one thing. One, obviously, I do need to shave and get a haircut. That'll happen eventually. But I finally took a break. It's been a while since I've taken a break, right? It's been a long time. And I did something that I normally don't do. Can anyone guess what it is? I decided to watch a few movies. So I watched, I think it was Masters of the Universe, the He-Man movie. Honestly, it was pretty good. I thought it was good. Okay, I've known He-Man since a kid, but never was a massive fan. I never hated, never loved it. But the movie's good. I think it's called Masters of the Universe, the He-Man movie. It's a very good movie. You should watch it. But then I decided to watch Disclosure Day. And that was a shit movie. That was a very, very bad movie. I was actually shocked about how bad Disclosure Day was because when I saw that Steven Spielberg was making a movie about like a conspiracy and aliens and everything, I was like, this might be a good movie. And it's Steven Spielberg, right? He has incredible movies that I've loved very much. Jaws, Jurassic Park, E.T., many others. But Disclosure Day was shit. It's so bad that in the movie, there's like these two kids that get kidnapped by aliens. So far, so good. They get kidnapped by aliens, and the aliens give them superpowers. They get like superpowers from the aliens. The aliens are like these godly beings. And I'm pretty sure that if I got kidnapped by aliens, I would come back missing a kidney. I would not have superpowers. If an alien kidnapped me, I would lose a kidney or something. Maybe my liver. But I would definitely not come back with superpowers. But that was just a really, really, really bad movie. Did you watch Obsession? I did not, but I do want to watch it. That's a horror movie. I do want to watch Obsession. And they say, is Odyssey good? I didn't watch Odyssey, but I do want to watch it. I do like ancient Greece, Troy. Apparently it's like a story right after Troy, right? The War of Troy. I haven't watched it. I want to watch Odyssey. I'll probably watch it when I have time again. But now, yeah, and they're saying all movies are shit right now. I wouldn't say all of them, but a lot of them. A lot of them are shit for sure. But anyhow, let's go to the breaking news, and you guys can drop a like in the stream if you haven't already. Do it right now. And it says, David Ornstein said, Mauricio Pochettino on course to agree to a new contract and extend his reign as the USMNT head coach through the 2030 World Cup, bearing any unexpected change of heart from the 54-year-old Argentine boss, set to remain in charge of the U.S. men's national team for next cycle. So again, he hasn't signed it, okay? He hasn't signed it. But fellas, it's official. It's official. Mauricio Pochettino will stay with the U.S. men's national team. Okay. And I also want to bring up this report that came out yesterday from Andres Cantor. And look, Andres Cantor is as reliable as it gets. Okay. So if he's reporting it, also Andres Cantor is Argentine himself, right? He's Argentine himself. And he is reliable. He would not be putting this out unless he was 100% certain. And Andres Cantor said this yesterday. Through reliable sources, I understand that Mauricio Pochettino renewal negotiations are going well and that the intention is to be able to announce it soon in order for him and his staff to start working on the September-October FIFA match day. So what happened was Andres Cantor reported this yesterday, and he's as reliable as it gets. So once he reported this, Tom Bogert, David Ornstein, Doug McIntyre, the guy that no one likes, right? We don't like Doug. Like, we're not a big fan of Doug. But everyone started to look into it, obviously. And where there's smoke, there's fire, and Pochettino's staying. Okay, that's the truth. I also have sources, and I heard a week ago that Pochettino was going to stay. The reason I didn't say anything about it, it's not because it's not true, even though a lot of people are going to say that. It's just because there was no concrete evidence, right? My source said that it was going well. That's all he said. He said it was going very well, and for me to expect Pochettino to be back in 2030. So it looks like it's true. It looks like he'll be back. And then I saw many people saying that this is, well, not many people. Most people are for it. Let me know in the comments, in the chat or in the comment section right now. Are you happy that Pochettino's staying, or are you upset? Okay. Now let me go through a few takes that people were putting out there that they said they were against it, and I'll talk about why I'm for Pochettino staying in the process. I am for it. So this is an account that I actually like, USMNT Prospects, but I disagree with him here. And just to make it clear from the get-go, I'm putting his account here because he has a strong take against Pochettino staying. And even though he's an account I respect and I actually follow, he's a great account to follow, USMNT Prospects. I want to dive into his take, and I want to debunk it, actually. I'm just trying to make it as clear as possible that this is not me attacking an account that I'm endorsing. Okay, USMNT Prospects. So this is what he had to say. Berhalter did just as good of a job, and he's totally mediocre. That is not true. That is not true. Okay, let's go through a few facts here. Berhalter inherited a program that was broken. Okay, in 2019. That's when he took over in January of 2019. It was when we failed to qualify for the World Cup. We didn't really have a coach for what? Almost 2 years that we didn't really have an actual coach. It was an interim. And Berhalter wasn't good in the first year, right? In 2019, he lost the Gold Cup final to Mexico also, which was a bit of a, not a bizarre performance, but some very weird moments and questionable decisions from Berhalter. Subs throughout that game, right? With subbing in Daniel Lovitz when we're down 1-0. I think Raul Jimenez scored. He had a weird love affection for Will Trapp, and later on he had a weird love affection for Jackson Yeo. Berhalter didn't really start getting good results in CONCACAF until 2021. That's when he was 2 years into his cycle. 2 years. And right now, Pochettino is 2 years into his cycle. And he inherited a broken program. Pochettino took over the national team right after we got grouped in the Copa America in 2024. He had less than 2 years to prepare for the World Cup, which you're going to say, oh, for club, that's fine, 2 years. Of course it is. You're with the players every day. Pochettino had what, 8 camps, 9 camps? That's about it. And players not wanting to be there, having to change a broken culture. And one thing I want to say about this too is people very often, I'm going to bring up the take about, I don't believe in 2 cycles. That is a bullshit take, and I'll talk about that in a second, but that's not something USMNT Prospect said. So he also added, on what data? We can compare their 2 cycles. Berhalter, in fact, probably had a better overall cycle. Berhalter had more time. If you compare Berhalter's first 2 years with the U.S. national team, they were not better. They simply weren't. And then Berhalter obviously won the Nations League and the Gold Cup in 2021. To his credit, and to the credit of the players, you can't take away that from Berhalter, obviously. But during that time, Mexico was going through a crisis. Mexico under Tata Martino was a complete mess. And they eventually started to figure things out only when they hired Javier Aguirre, right? But going on here, he said Pochettino did a terrible job during the cycle and okay at the World Cup. Berhalter was okay during the cycle and the World Cup. So about Berhalter being okay during the cycle and the World Cup. If you're talking about the 2022 cycle, yes, Berhalter had a full cycle. He pretty much had 4 years because also the World Cup didn't really start till December. So Berhalter had essentially 4 years, right? 2019, 2020, 2021, and the whole year of 2022. He had 4 years for the World Cup. Pochettino had less than two. Okay. On top of that, the work is not the same. Let's be honest. We saw the performances of the U.S. men's national team in this World Cup versus the 2022 World Cup. It's night and day. We can talk about the Belgium game all you want. We can talk about the Belgium game for the entire stream. It was a mess. It was one of the worst performances I've ever seen from the U.S. men's national team. Maybe the worst I've seen in a World Cup. And they were talking a lot about later on how Donald Trump's red card reversal affected the team. So how do you blame Pochettino for that if the players have such a soft mentality? Does he have some blame? Sure. But what else could he have done? Right? So this whole thing of like Pochettino did terrible during the cycle. He didn't have a cycle, guys. Let's just call a spade a spade. He didn't have a fucking cycle. Like, let's be real here. Pochettino did not have a cycle. He took over in September. No, actually, he took over in October of 2024. He's had less than 2 years. He took over literally a broken national team that had just gotten grouped in the Copa America at home in a group with Panama and Bolivia in it. And we got grouped. So, again, to me, you can't say that Pochettino did a terrible job during the cycle while Berhalter had 4 years. And the first 2 years, Berhalter also lost the Gold Cup. He made many weird decisions. He made weird decisions all the way to the end. And then in the World Cup, we were much better. In 2022, Berhalter won 1 game in the World Cup. We won 3 games this World Cup. 3 games. Literally, the only bad thing of this World Cup was the collapse against Belgium. That was the only bad thing. Oh, we lost to Turkey. Doesn't matter. We topped the group. We played subs that game. Okay, so none of this is true. I think Pete was the one talking about it. Oh, because the first tweet from Prospects was, I do not think his overall body of work with the USMNT justifies this. I don't even think the World Cup was anything more than okay at best. I think the thing about saying the World Cup was okay, it's a bit of an oversimplification of it, right? Because he's not wrong. Because of the final performance, we can't say the World Cup was a success, right? It was a success. So I guess okay is fair. But up until the Belgium game, it was the best World Cup that we ever had. And Dylan's saying, we collapsed versus the Dutch under Berhalter too. Yeah, we did. We did. We were never really in that game against the Dutch. We were never really in that game. I'm going to read what Pete had to say here. Let's just see what Pete... So Pete said, Berhalter never got our attack going in any cohesive way. That is true. That is true. Struggled to score goals. 3 goals versus 11 in the World Cup is a massive gap. That is also true. That is also true. That is also true. And Pete also said, Berhalter had 6 years. Pochettino had 10 camps. Yeah, Pochettino had less than 2 years. Pochettino had less than 2 years, guys. That's what I keep saying. When people said Pochettino had a cycle, I'm going to say this again. Pochettino did not have a full cycle. He did not even have half a cycle. Okay? They're saying Pochettino played much more difficult, friendly opponents than Berhalter did. That is true also. If we look it up, it is true. Pochettino had much better friendly opponents. Pochettino spent at least the first year trying to undo the toxic, entitled, soft culture that Berhalter tolerated and encouraged. That is also true. Berhalter was the first coach in history to get grouped at the Copa America, in the Copa America at home. That is also true. That is also true. It took Berhalter 2.5 years to win a trophy. Pochettino hasn't even been there for that long. Again, everything I said, Pete repeated there. That's a fact. But again, USMNT Prospects is an account that I do think it's worth following, and I do like him quite a bit. But there's an account here that I don't know, so I can't really say I like this account or I dislike this account. I just think he had a really stupid take. So I want to bring it up here just to talk about it, because sometimes you can't really let Crazy Town go loose, right? We've been allowing this to happen with Hollywood for years, and look what happened to Hollywood. They made Disclosure Day with Steven Spielberg. I talked about that movie. It's a terrible movie. It's a terrible movie. All right. And Artisan saying, your thoughts on Infantino planning to sell off the World Cup? Artisan, I talked about this on Instagram, so go follow me on Instagram. I talked about it on the short. It's a disgrace, right? Because that's not the goal with the World Cup. FIFA, by the Swiss law, is a non-profit, so they can't sell stakes of FIFA. So, for anyone who doesn't know, what Infantino wants to do is he'll make a separate company, corporation, whatever, that is in charge of the World Cup. Okay, and that corporation will be for profit, which allows FIFA and Infantino, I guess in this case, to sell stakes of the World Cup to private investors. The problem with that is it's going to kill eventually the essence of the World Cup. Now, the World Cup's not going to be destroyed in one cycle or two cycles. It's not going to be in 4 years or 8 years. It's something that'll take a time. It'll take some time. And don't think that the World Cup could never be destroyed. It could. Over 20 years, 30 years, with corporate greed, yes. Over the long run, greed, corruption destroys anything. Anything. Fellas, the Roman Empire was destroyed by greed and corruption. I know I'm oversimplifying it, but again, the World Cup can 100% be destroyed due to greed and corruption. It can happen, and if we keep going this route, it will happen. But that's what Infantino wants to do. He wants to create a separate corporation or company that will be in charge of the World Cup, and in that case, he can sell stakes because he can't do that with FIFA. Um, I think it's a disgrace. It's a big problem. Eventually, the World Cup will become every 2 years. It's going to become very corporate. People will still kind of watch it, but the essence of it, what it means, will die over the long run. That's going to happen. I'm not trying to be a doom and gloomer here, just trying to like everything is like it's the end of the world, the apocalypse, but it's the truth. Like the World Cup will eventually get destroyed. If we keep going this route, it'll be during my lifetime. So I guess 30, 40 years from now, max. 11 Wanks is saying, Greg Berhalter coming back. Let's go. Yeah, Greg Berhalter is done. GM is saying, GM06969. Nice. I'm glad we're back with the 69 here. It's been a while. We haven't 69 in a while, all of us. It's been a long time. It's been 10 days since I've released a video. It's been probably 2 weeks since I've done a stream. It's been a while. I'm a little rusty, if you haven't noticed. What is the long-term style of play for the U.S.? Should not be coach-dependent. It should be a plan based on style idea taught since the U15s. I see what you're trying to say there, GM. You're talking about the United States having an identity, right? An actual soccer identity. Like Spain has, for example. Like the Spanish national team has a very clear identity. Honestly, England has a very clear identity. France, Argentina has a very clear identity. Even though Argentina is screwed now, without when Messi's done, they're screwed. Brazil used to have a clear identity. Now Brazil is going through a identity crisis. But yeah, the U.S. should try to have its very own identity. It's a little bit tough because we're such a big country, and in different regions, different areas, we do things differently. But there are ways for you to influence and having a very set style of play for Americans, right? In the past, we did have an identity. If you go like 15 years ago, we were a team we had that underdog personality, mindset. We would defend like hell and counterattack. So that used to be our identity. Right now, we seem to be transitioning from that to something like that. We try to play possession. We're aggressive. We press. We'll see. Like maybe Pochettino can actually implement the identity and get it to trickle down to the Olympic team, the U20s, the U15s. But it is tough, right? Different teams develop different ways. We're not really like Spain or all these countries that have years and years and years of soccer culture. We're still building one. But I see what you're saying. You're right. We would probably have to go back to something like when we had like a national academy. Remember when the IMG was essentially our national academy? Maybe we have to go back to something like that. And U.S. Soccer now has a headquarter in Atlanta with beautiful fields, so maybe they try to do something like that. right? Maybe something like that. But let's talk about this take here from Fire Talk 97. I wonder if he's a Chicago Fire fan. Fire Talk. Let me actually look at his account real quick if he's a Chicago Fire fan. Yep, yep, boys. He's a Chicago Fire fan, so that explains a lot. He probably loves Greg Berhalter very much. So let's talk about his take here. He said, "You give a guy 4 years after putting on display the most embarrassing USMNT performance in recent memory." I wouldn't say it's the most embarrassing USMNT performance. Well, it's one of them for sure, one of them, right? But here's my question to you, Mr. Fire Talk. I have a question to you. Um, what about all the way up to the Belgium game? Was it not the best World Cup we've ever had in recent memory alongside 2002? It was. It was better than 2022. It was better than 2018 because we didn't play. We didn't qualify. It was better than 2014, a World Cup that we actually did well. We got out of the group of death and then we lost to Belgium. Um, and mind you, in 2014, if we had Matt Freeze on goal instead of Tim Howard, we probably would have lost to Belgium like 5-0 in 2014. I think you guys agree with me on that. Like, replace Tim Howard in 2014 for Matt Freeze. What's the score between the US and Belgium in that game? What's the score? Right? And then 2010, we got out of our group again. 2006, we didn't get out of our group. And 2002 is probably the best World Cup the US had in recent history. We barely lost to Germany. So I firmly disagree with that take because, yeah, the Belgium game was embarrassing. I'll give that to Fire Talk. He's right. But the Dutch game that we lost 3-1 was also embarrassing. I think people forget that game against the Dutch. We scored a lucky goal, just like we did against Belgium. And the Dutch scored 3 goals because they didn't have that fire in them. They didn't care. They weren't pushing it. If there was some like Donald Trump controversy back then, the Dutch would have put 4 or 5 on Berhalter as well. So it was very similar, the performance against the Dutch and against Belgium. They were both very bad performances, embarrassing. Number 2 from Fire Talk, he said, as soon as any top Premier League clubs had a job have a job opening, he's gone. That's just pure speculation, which is just a very stupid point. Again, guys, don't be stupid. That's a very stupid point that he's making. I'm sure there's some clause in the contract that they would have to pay U.S. Soccer millions of dollars if Pochettino just bounced. And if that happens, may U.S. Soccer get that money and hire someone good as well. So that's just a stupid take. I don't have to talk about that one. And then the last one is also pretty stupid. Second cycle coaches have never worked. In fact, historically, they fail miserably. Okay. Let's just go to my first reply here. Second cycle coaches have never worked. Didier Deschamps won the World Cup with France in his second cycle. Joaquin Low won the World Cup in his second cycle with Germany. Brazil did much better with Chichi in the second cycle. That's when he won the Copa America. That's when they had probably the best World Cup qualifying campaign ever. And honestly, Brazil in the 2022 World Cup was not bad. They just had a moment of collapse against Croatia. So the whole second cycle coaches have never worked is a load of crap. Now, I do want to make sure I add the context here. Fire Talk added the context saying that comment is USMNT specific. I didn't think I had to clarify that given the quote post. No, you do have to qualify. You do have to clarify that, dude, because when you say it never worked, it doesn't mean you're talking about the USMNT. And again, just because it never worked with the U.S. men's national team, it does not mean that it cannot work with anyone else. And just because it never worked with us, it doesn't mean it can't work now. You know what I'm saying? There's a few like the whole thing of second cycles. First and foremost, Pochettino didn't have a cycle. That's the Fire Talk right there. It's stupid take. Pochettino didn't have a full cycle. He took over in October of 2024. He's been there for less than 2 years. That's less than half a cycle. So technically, he's not going to reach a full World Cup cycle till the Copa America. All right, that's the first thing that I want to say. Okay. Second thing here about it, like stability and continuity is a good thing. Okay, I want to make that clear. Stability and continuity is a good thing, something we haven't had in U.S. soccer for a while with the leadership. We haven't really had much stability and continuity. And keeping Pochettino is good. Now, do I have some concerns? I think the only concern I have with Pochettino, the only concern is the dual national recruitment, because we do have a few players we have to recruit. I'll make a video about that in August, but we do have players that we do need to recruit. And I hope Pochettino understands that. We do need to recruit a few players to fill in the gaps, because we do have issues, right, with the roster. But again, just to make my point clear, Pochettino did not have a full cycle. He took over a broken team after the 2024 Copa America. Many coaches that had major success, they've had 2 cycles in recent history. So continuity is a good thing. The Belgium collapse, it's mostly on the players, guys. We were playing well under Pochettino. We were playing well in the World Cup. And then a lot of the players have come out right now, right? A lot of the players have come out right now, and they're talking about like how the whole red card reversal, Trump being involved, that messed with them. It's like, how soft are you? How soft are you? Also, you come into the World Cup, you knew Donald Trump was going to say or do something at some point. We all knew that was going to happen, for the better or for the worse. Unfortunately, it looks like it was for the worse. To me, again, I think the Federation has made the right decision to keep Pochettino. And you guys know I'm very critical of the Federation, but I think they are making the right decision. Okay? And I think it's going to show in the Gold Cup this year. Sorry, not this year, in 2027. The Gold Cup in 2027. The Copa America in 2028. And the World Cup in 2030. I think it will work out. Now, I could be wrong. And you know, like many people, I'm at least willing to put out my opinion here. And if I'm right, I take credit for it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, right? If I'm wrong. But I've been right a lot. I talked about Berhalter a lot. A lot. And I think now Pochettino can work alongside Cherundolo with the Olympic team to try to build something for the 2030 World Cup, which is ultimately the goal. Okay, now before I close this stream, I do want to talk about a few things of what I want to see from Pochettino from the get-go. Make sure to drop a like in the stream if you guys haven't already. And don't forget to check out the video we released today. We released a video about USMNT prospects to watch out this cycle, and I rated their potential based on my opinion, okay? GMO saying Pochettino, big money. He should coach the Olympics and U20. So the Olympics is going to be Cherundolo. That's confirmed. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Cherundolo coaching the U20s, the Olympics. I don't know who's coaching the U20s right now. I want Pochettino involved with the Olympic team and U20. I don't think he needs to coach them, but I want him involved for sure, especially the Olympic team, because a lot of the Olympic team players will very likely be in the 2030 World Cup. And the Olympics is in LA, in the United States. Legit Media is saying, call me crazy, but I think the United States, the US, Mexico, and Canada will have a really good Copa America. Most of South America is terrible, and that won't change in 2028. We'll see. That's 2 years from now. Let's see what Brazil will start to look like under Ancelotti. Argentina, will they still have Messi around? Colombia, very good team, but they choke. We'll see. I mean, the US cannot do worse than 2024. We got grouped at home. We cannot do worse than that. So let me talk about a few things. I think under Pochettino, the continuity will be a good thing. I also think that during the Gold Cup, Pochettino is going to start he's going to call up the best players. And if you reject the call up, it might come back to bite you like Musa. It came back to bite Musa, and Musa was out of the World Cup. Honestly, I don't even know if Musa is going to get called up again. So we need to take Gold Cups and Nations League seriously. What I want to see this cycle from the U.S. men's national team under Pochettino, I want us to dominate our region again. I want us to win the Nations League and win the Gold Cup. There are no excuses for Pochettino now. He's been in charge for 2 years. He has to win the Nations League and the Gold Cup next year. Have to do it. Beat Mexico. Right? So, again, he has to win the Gold Cup and Nations League, in my opinion. That's next year. World Cup qualifying, we have to qualify with ease. Ease. The World Cup spots are expanded. We have to qualify with ease and comfort. That's something that I would demand. Now, qualifying first place, that depends, right? We'll compete there with Mexico and Canada, but we have to qualify with a lot of comfort, with a lot of ease. Second thing, Copa America. I want a semifinals run. We saw Jurgen Klinsmann do that. I want a semifinals run. Okay? Get out of the group, win one knockout game, and you're in the semifinals of the Copa America. Because once you're out of the group, it's the quarterfinals. I want us to make it to the semifinals in the Copa America in 2028 under Pochettino. He has to do it. Okay? Jurgen did it. Jurgen did it. Olympics. Pochettino's not in charge, but I want to make sure we try to get an Olympic medal. I'm going to make a video next week about predicting the Olympic roster. I think we can win a medal, even if it's a bronze medal. I think we can do it. Most nations don't take the Olympics, men's Olympic soccer seriously, and we're playing at home. I think we can win a medal in the Olympics, and that would be important. Okay, so that's another big thing. I want Pochettino involved, and I want to make sure we get some of the young players from the Olympics and bring them to the World Cup. I think Kevin Sullivan, Mathis Albert, a lot of these guys are going to be in the Olympic team. Okay, but I'll make a video next week predicting the Olympic roster. Jeff is saying this is making me hard as a rock. Are you sure it's not your Viagra? Are you sure? Because you're always on Blue Chew, right? It might be the Viagra, Jeff. Might be the Viagra. And then I want a successful 2030 World Cup, but that's too far ahead. We'll talk about the World Cup as we get closer to Pochettino, but I'm going to say this again. The Federation is doing what is right of keeping Pochettino, in my opinion. And you guys know I'm very critical of the Federation, but when you do a good job, you do a good job. And I think the Federation is making the right decision right here. SU Indian is saying this decision could have had a huge positive impact on culture and development well beyond 2030. No other viable coaching options would have the same potential. Yes, you're right, SU Indian. And I want to add one thing too. For anyone that's against Pochettino staying, who would you hire? Who would you hire right now? Pellegrino Matarazzo's not available. BJ Callahan, not available. Right? These guys are not leaving their clubs. You want Roberto Martinez? Is he available? I don't know. I'll just keep Pochettino if you're going to bring Roberto Martinez. Do you want Tata Martino? Do you want Bielsa that just flamed out with Uruguay? If it's not Pochettino, who would you want? Right? This is the best option. They're saying BJ would leave. We don't know that GMO or GM0. We don't know if BJ would leave. Maybe he would. Maybe he would. We're not sure. I'll be okay with BJ Callahan taking over the national team. Or Pellegrino Matarazzo. Right? I think what needs to happen now is Pochettino needs a very good cycle. Once the 2030 World Cup is done, if he wants to leave, he can leave. And then we can look at options like BJ Callahan, Pellegrino Matarazzo. I would also keep an eye out for Michael Bradley. I would keep an eye. He's starting his coaching career with the New York Red Bulls. I would keep an eye out for Michael Bradley and see how he does over the next 4 years. He could be a coach in the 2034 cycle. But right now, Pochettino's staying. I know they're going to say he hasn't signed it. Guys, it's pretty much official. Okay? It's pretty much official. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. While I was saying the CONCACAF U20 Championship Cup, USMNT is doing good so far. Let's hope it shows something. Yes. So we didn't bring our best to this U20 championship, just to make that clear. We didn't bring our best, right? Because if we were to bring, like, Kevin Sullivan's not there, Mehmedi's not there, Julian Hall's not there, Mathis Albert is not there, and many others, right? Even Nokai Banks is eligible to be there. So we're not bringing our best. We're going to qualify to the U20 World Cup, and I'll make sure to cover that, okay? But next week, expect a video about the Olympic team, okay? Do you guys want that? I'll make next week a video for the Olympic team, because this week I already released a video on the USMNT prospects to watch out for this cycle. And as I'm coming back from vacation, we're gonna come back slowly. So this week, one video, this stream. Next week, we're gonna do the Olympic video. If you guys want to, I think you guys want to. I want to break down which players might be there, who should be there. Spicy Jeff said he has a stiffy. Okay, I'm flaccid, but you have a stiffy. Leb American Boy saying, I cover U.S. soccer in Spanish and I love Pochettino. Oh, by the way, you emailed me about going to your channel, Lebini American Boy. I was on vacation. I was on vacation. I replied to your email saying, let's do it. I'll go to your channel. I just can't speak Spanish, dude. I just can't speak Spanish. That's the only problem. I can't speak Spanish. But I'll gladly go to your channel and talk in English if you want me to. Okay, I just replied to your email. Everyone, thank you very much for watching. Pochettino is staying, okay? Even though it's not signed and everything, I'm just going to put here again. Let me just put the news again. Where is it? Oh, great. They have a paywall. Mauricio Pochettino, U.S. Soccer, close on a deal to renew. Andres Cantor also reported it. It's pretty much a done deal. It should be announced. I would say today is July 29th. I wouldn't be surprised if it's announced by like August 1st, something like that. Okay? But we're back from vacation. We're back with our coverage. Thank you very much, everyone that has supported the channel throughout the World Cup, and you that are supporting the channel right now as well. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Drop a like. It's a great way to support the channel. And that's all for today. And go check out our prospects video. Let me know what you think about it. We released it today. Next week, Olympic video. All right? Ciao.